Hey guys, welcome back to Growth Stock Central. And something very exciting happened today. In fact, something so exciting that I decided to make this video before going to bed. So, as you may have noticed, over the past 2 to 3 weeks, NIO stock hasn't been doing too well, at least not as well as we would hope, considering their massive growth earlier this year. If you take a look at their monthly chart, you'll actually see that they did hit their all-time high of 55 USD. But shortly after that, after plateauing for a few days, they've been on a downtrend and they did try to recover a couple of times, but it just kept going back down. That is until a couple of days ago. If you look at the 5-day view, you'll see it hit, one of its lowest points in recent history at 39.92, and everyone's freaking out. It's like, oh my gosh, it's below 40, is it going to keep dropping? The answer was no. As you can see, it actually started to go up from there. And it got to the point where it got back to 43.5. And as of today, it's actually almost back at 45. And as you may know, if it hits 45, there's a pretty good chance it's going to break out. It's not a guarantee, obviously, but the odds of it getting back to its 55 highs or potentially higher is really good if it gets past 45. Now, in after hours trading, you can see that it's actually trading 0.5% higher, so nothing too major. But there's a few things I want to talk about today, because obviously you're probably wondering, is it time to buy more? Is it time to sell off so I can cut my losses? What should I do? Because NIO's been pretty volatile lately. So there's a few things I want to cover. First of all, let's look at their year-to-date earnings. Now, year-to-date, NIO has done very well for itself. If you look just back in January 2, they were at 3.72 USD. So even without math, you can see that's a more than 10 times increase this year. Now, 1,100% increase in a single year during a pandemic. So is that impressive? Absolutely. Does it mean it's overpriced or inflated in the short term at least? Potentially. But there's a few things you need to consider before you write it off completely or dump your life savings. You can't just do one or the other without doing your homework on this. It's important to understand why they've gained so much this year. First of all, they've had pretty solid sales growth, so that's driven it a lot. But second of all, there's been a lot of hype about electric vehicles this year, whether it's Tesla or the other companies. Investors are really excited about this market, and they should be, because renewable energy is the future. So having vehicles tailored to that is absolutely killer. You're gonna make a lot of profit, you're gonna make a lot of sales. Furthermore, NIO actually has a battery as a service model, which will bring them recurring income. Rather than just setting up charging stations, they can actually replace the batteries in their car periodically. That way they have consistent revenue from their customers. In that sense, they're locking their customers who buy their cars into an ecosystem similar to what Apple does. Now, you're probably wondering what's going to happen to NIO right now, like in the next couple weeks, in the next month. So there's a few things that happen here. First of all, you have to note, there's been a couple other attempts to retry getting back to 55 recently, and it just hasn't been working too well. As you can see around here, on December 1, got a little bit of a boost. But by December 2 and 3 and 4, it just dropped back down. You see it here again. So despite trying to recover, it hasn't been able to do that very consistently lately. That being said, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to be a rally, because there's something different this time. NIO Day. You might have heard NIO Day is coming up on January 9, and they're actually going to reveal a new car, a sedan, which will make them very competitive with their competitors. It'll give them an edge and help them compete with other electric vehicle makers that are more consumer friendly in terms of pricing, because as you might know, NIO is more of a top-end priced company right now. They sell premium cars. They're kind of like what Tesla was before they went mass market. If you believe that the NIO Day rally is gonna happen, then now is the time to invest, because obviously it seems to be on an uptrend, and it could be one of your last chances to actually get in before you miss your buy point and it goes all the way back to 55. That being said, there's always the worst case scenario. Now, do I think NIO will succeed? In the long term, I'm almost sure it will. The question is, how long is it going to stay at this level? Is it going to recover now, or is it going to recover in 6 months from now? And that could be the difference between whether or not you should invest. Personally, I think that the NIO Day hype will be enough to send it on a new rally and get it past the resistance it's been facing recently. But if you're not as bullish on NIO, or if you need your money in the short term, now might not be the best time to invest, because there's still a pretty good chance it could drop further. There are no guarantees, and this is a pretty volatile stock. So if it's going to keep you up at night, don't invest in it. It's just like what I said with Jumia. That being said, if you see the long-term potential of NIO and you don't mind holding long, this could be a pretty attractive buy point. As you may have also heard, there's been some news with delisting lately about Chinese companies, and that's actually been one of the contributors to why NIO stock has been dropping lately. It's not as concerning to me, at least in the long term, because NIO is audited by the same firm as Tesla, so they should be pretty compliant. And once the buzz on delisting fades, I don't think it's going to be an issue in anyone's mind, especially for NIO, because let's face it, they're not Nikola. They're not showing any signs of fraudulent accounting or false promises. They've actually been doing very well in terms of performance, both financially and in the manufacturing sense this year. There's also a big difference between NIO and a lot of other companies, especially in the West, who make EVs. They're backed by the government. So while Tesla had to deal with regulation and had to jump through a million hoops just to get government support, and not even support, just acceptance, NIO's done the opposite. They've been backed by the government essentially from the start. So when you're backed by the Chinese government in China, it's almost like you're having your business handed to you on a silver platter. They'll give you everything you need to succeed. Of course, their competitors like XPeng and Li Auto are still in the same market, so it's not like they have the whole market to themselves. But they're definitely a fan favorite. In fact, it could take up to 2 months to get a NIO car right now because demand is so high. What's important to note is that selling cars isn't going to be their only source of cash flow forever. What they're looking into actually is robotaxis. Now, robotaxis are a whole nother animal. It's a lot more profitable than selling cars to consumers in the long term. There are some people who are saying that NIO might actually beat Tesla to the punch in terms of getting robotaxis to market. Now, considering Tesla tends to be behind schedule quite often, I think that's at the very least plausible. China has said they want robotaxis available by the 2022 Olympics, and NIO is actually one of the companies they've contracted to do that. Now, I'm not going to make a whole video on robotaxis because, we're a stock channel, we're not a tech channel. But Logically Answered is a great channel who actually made a video on this pretty recently, so I'll leave that link in the description below if you want to check it out. Now, speaking of China and Beijing and the government and all that, they're actually going to be banning the sale of new gasoline vehicles by 2035. This is according to the Ministry of Industry and Information, as you can see in the Top Gear article that was released pretty recently. Now, this is almost the perfect situation for NIO because it means they're in the right place at the right time. They're in the right market at the right time. And again, they won't have to deal with government regulation since they're backed by the government. Dre Laurel did a great piece on this on Top Gear regarding Chinese bans on new sales of gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035. So if you want to read it, I'll leave a link in the description as well. You can check it out. It's a good read. So the question remains, is this time to add more to your holding? Again, if you need money in the short term, if you want to cash out with, quick gains, personally, I wouldn't be comfortable investing in NIO right now because even if there's a big chance that the rally will, keep rising due to the hype towards NIO Day, it's just a bit too volatile right now. So if you need your money in the short term, maybe let it cool off for a bit, see where it's going before you make a definitive bet on it. Of course, you do run the risk that you're going to miss out on this good buy point and it's going to keep rising and you're going to have, remorse and regret that you didn't invest now. But that's just part of stocks. You can't get everything right. But if you at least tread cautiously and know your limits, then at least you won't get everything wrong. And that's something good in itself. So I'm going to be watching NIO very closely in the lead up to the NIO Day rally. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it keeps rising, heads back to 55. As I've said in the past, I'm going to be holding NIO long term, 5 to 10 years at least. So I'm not too concerned because I know that in the long term, they have probably a 98% chance, if not more, of becoming a great EV company in one of the biggest EV markets in the world. That's all for now, but those are just my thoughts. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Make your own decisions. This isn't financial advice, it's just education. So leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about NIO, because obviously everyone has an opinion and I'd love to hear them. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like us. It really does help out the channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my new videos. I don't know when I'll be posting the next one, but I'll give you a hint. It's pretty soon. As always, I'm Jake and thank you so much for watching.